Commander Taman stared at the dark screen in front of him. The blue scales on his face grew darker when he was worried, and right now they were almost black. His ship, the Harmony's Edge, floated dead in space. No power, no engines, no way to call for help. "How long do we have?" he asked Dr. Minho, who stood beside him like a living crystal. The doctor's clear body sparkled with nervous energy. "The life support will last maybe 6 hours," Minho said. His voice sounded like wind chimes. "But I think we have bigger problems." Taman knew what he meant. Through the main window, 7 dark shapes moved closer to their ship. The Stalker ships looked like hungry sharks made of metal and death. Their black hulls had no lights, no markings, nothing that showed mercy or kindness. These were the ships of the Void Hunter Collective, and they had been chasing the Harmony's Edge for 3 days. "Captain, they're moving into attack positions," said Navigator Jisu from her station. The bird-like alien's feathers were flat against her head, a sign of fear. Her large eyes could see things others missed, and right now she saw their doom. Coming closer. Taman walked to the center of the bridge. His crew of 12 looked at him with hope, but he had no good news to give them. The research mission had been going so well. They had found something amazing in this nebula, a new way to send messages across the galaxy instantly. It could help all the peaceful races talk to each other and work together. But the Void Hunters had found out about their discovery. These creatures lived by stealing technology from others and making slaves of entire worlds. They could not let the peaceful races unite. Unity meant their victims might fight back. "Sir, they're sending a message," said the communications officer. His tentacles moved quickly over the controls. "Put it through," Taman said. A cold voice filled the bridge. It spoke in the common language that most species used for trade and diplomacy. "Research vessel Harmony's Edge. You carry something that belongs to us. Surrender your ship and crew. Your technology will serve the collective. Your people will work for us until they die." Taman felt sick. He had seen what happened to worlds the Void Hunters conquered. The lucky ones died quickly. "No." "Response, Captain?" the voice asked with dark humor. "Perhaps you need more motivation." One of the Stalker ships fired a warning shot. The energy beam missed their ship by just a few meters, but it lit up the nebula around them in bright colors. The message was, "Clear. Surrender or die." Dr. Minho moved closer to Taman. "Captain, what do we do?" Taman looked around at his crew. They were good people from different worlds, all working together for science and peace. The Zephyrians, like himself, were known for being calm and smart. The crystalline healers like Minho saved lives across the galaxy. The Screet, like Jisu, were the best navigators in known space. They didn't deserve to become slaves. "There is one thing we can try," Taman said slowly. He walked to a small panel near his chair. Behind the panel was a device they had never tested. The quantum beacon. Jisu's feathers stood up. "Captain, that's just a prototype. We don't even know if it works." "And if it does work, who would answer?" asked Minho. "We're in the middle of nowhere. The nearest friendly world is 4 days away." Taman opened the panel. Inside was a small device that looked like a crystal ball surrounded by metal rings. The scientists who made it said it could send a call for help to anyone listening, anywhere, in the galaxy. But they had never tried it. "Maybe someone will hear us," he said. "Maybe someone will come." The Stalker ships were getting closer. Taman could see their weapons charging up. Soon they would fire for real, and his ship would be destroyed or captured. He pressed the button. The quantum beacon came to life with a soft blue glow. Energy patterns danced inside the crystal like tiny lightning. The device hummed with power, sending their location and a desperate cry for help out into the void. For a moment, nothing happened. The Stalker ships kept moving closer. The weapons kept charging. Death kept coming. Then Jisu made a sound of surprise. "Captain, I'm getting something on the long-range sensors." "What is it?" Taman asked, hope growing in his chest. "A ship, sir, coming fast from the direction of that yellow star." Jisu's claws clicked on her controls as she tried to get more information. "It's strange. I've never seen anything like it." Taman looked at the sensor display. A single dot was moving toward them at incredible speed. It was coming from a small star system that their charts said was empty. No colonies, no trade routes, nothing important. "How long until it gets here?" he asked. "At that speed, maybe 10 minutes, Jisu said. "But Captain, it's just one ship. The Stalkers have 7. Dr. Minho's crystal body flickered with nervous light. "Maybe whoever is coming doesn't know what they're flying into." The lead Stalker ship sent another message. "Your time is up, research vessel. Prepare to be boarded. Resistance will be met with death." Taman watched the approaching dot on his screen. One unknown ship against 7 Stalker ships. It seemed impossible, but it was their only hope. "Hold on," he told his crew. "Someone heard our call. Let's see what happens." The Stalker ships moved into boarding formation, but they seemed to be waiting. Maybe they were curious about the new arrival, too. Maybe they wanted to capture another ship. The bridge was quiet, except for the hum of life support and the soft beeping of sensors. Everyone watched and waited. In a few minutes, they would know if their mysterious rescuer was a hero or just another victim. Taman prayed to the old gods of his home world. He had never been very religious, but desperate times called for desperate measures. If there were forces of good in the universe, now would be a perfect time for them to show up. The unknown ship kept coming, straight toward the heart of danger. The unknown ship appeared on the main screen like nothing Commander Taman had ever seen before. It was not sleek and beautiful like most peaceful vessels. It was not dark and scary like the Stalker ships either. Instead, it looked like someone had taken a cargo hauler and turned it into a weapon. The hull was gray metal with thick armor plates welded in strange places. Weapon ports stuck out at odd angles. The engines glowed with a color that Taman's people had no name for. Everything about the ship said it was built for work, not for show. "What kind of ship is that?" asked Dr. Minho. His crystal body was flashing with confusion. Navigator Jisu studied her instruments with growing amazement. "The design doesn't match anything in our databases. The engine signature is completely unknown. Even the metal they used. I've never seen readings like this." The strange ship was getting closer, but it wasn't slowing down. If anything, it seemed to be speeding up as it approached the 7 Stalker ships. "Maybe they don't see the danger," worried Minho. "Or maybe they don't care," said Taman quietly. The lead Stalker ship was clearly annoyed by the interruption. It turned some of its weapons away from the Harmony's edge and pointed them at the newcomer. A harsh voice came over the communication system. "Unknown vessel, you are entering a collective operation zone. Turn away immediately or be destroyed." For a long moment, there was no answer. The strange ship kept coming. Then a new voice filled the bridge of the research vessel. It was speaking the common galactic language, but with an accent none of them had heard before. "Stalker ships, this is Captain Hyunwoo of the vessel Iron Crane. I can see you have surrounded a peaceful research ship. Release them now." Taman felt hope spark in his chest. Someone was willing to help them, but one ship against 7 still seemed like madness. The Stalker ship commander laughed, a sound like breaking glass. "Captain Hyunwoo, you pilot one small ship. We have 7. Leave now and we will let you live. I'm going to ask you one more time," Captain Hyunwoo said. His voice was calm, like he was asking about the weather. "Release them!" "You dare threaten the collective?" The Stalker commander sounded furious. "We will add your ship to our collection." "Your choice," Captain Hyunwoo replied. What happened next made Jisu's feathers stand straight up. The unknown ship didn't turn away or try to negotiate. Instead, it aimed directly at the largest Stalker ship and fired something that made the space around it light up like a small sun. The energy beam hit the Stalker ship's shields, which should have absorbed the attack easily. Stalker ships had the best defenses in the galaxy. Nothing could break through their shields with just one shot. The shields collapsed like soap bubbles. Impossible, whispered Minho. The Stalker ship spun away from the impact, its hull glowing, red hot where the beam had hit. Alarms were probably screaming inside that ship right now. Analysis, Taman ordered, trying to keep his voice steady. Jisoo's claws moved over her controls. Captain, that energy signature. It's like nothing we've ever recorded. The beam used multiple frequencies at once, somehow synchronized to create destructive interference with standard shield harmonics. In simple words, asked Taman, they found a way to make our best shields useless. The Iron Crane was not done. As the other Stalker ships turned to face this new threat, Captain Hunwoo did something that broke every rule of space combat. Instead of backing away to keep distance for long-range fighting, he flew straight toward them. He's going to ram them, said Minho in shock. But at the last second, the Iron Crane twisted in a way that should have torn it apart. Instead of crashing, it slipped between two Stalker ships like a fish swimming through coral. As it passed, it fired small projectiles that stuck to their hulls. What are those things? Taman asked. They found out 3 seconds later when the projectiles exploded. The blasts were not very big, but they happened in exactly the right places. One Stalker ship lost its main weapon array. Another started spinning out of control as its steering engines died. Kinetic charges, Jisoo said with amazement. Simple explosives, but placed with perfect precision. The battle turned into something beautiful and terrible to watch. The Iron Crane moved like it was dancing, never where the Stalkers expected it to be. It used the nebula's strange gravity fields to change direction in impossible ways. It fired weapons that seemed primitive but worked better than advanced technology. Most amazing of all, Captain Hunwoo and his crew seemed to be learning as they fought. Each time the Stalkers tried a new attack pattern, the Iron Crane adapted faster than should have been possible. How are they doing this? Minho asked. Taman watched the battle with growing wonder. They're not fighting like any species I know. Most races develop one way of doing space combat and stick with it. These people seem to use everyone's methods at once. A Stalker ship managed to get behind the Iron Crane and fired its most powerful weapon. The beam should have cut the strange vessel in half. Instead, the Iron Crane's rear shields absorbed the hit and somehow redirected the energy into its own weapons. They turned defense into offense, breathed Jisoo. The shield didn't just stop the attack, it fed it back to their guns. The Iron Crane spun around and returned fire with the Stalker's own energy. The attacking ship barely got its shields up in time. But the most shocking moment came when two Stalker ships tried to trap the Iron Crane between them. Instead of trying to escape, Captain Hunwoo accelerated toward the ship on his right. At the last possible moment, his vessel sprouted what looked like metal spears from its hull. The Iron Crane rammed straight through the Stalker ship's side, its armored hull and cutting spears tearing through the enemy like paper. It came out, the other side damaged but still fighting while the Stalker ship broke apart in a ball of fire. Did he just ram through a Stalker ship and survive? Minho's voice was full of disbelief. The hull modifications, Jisoo said, studying her sensors. That ship was built for ramming. The whole front section is designed to punch through armor and keep going. 3 Stalker ships were now dead or dying. The remaining 4 seemed to realize they were not fighting an ordinary opponent. They started to pull back, but Captain Hunwoo was not done with them. "Attention all Stalker ships," his voice came over the communication system. "You have 10 seconds to jump away from this system. If you're still here after that, I'll assume you want to keep fighting." The Stalker commander tried to sound brave. "We are the collective. We do not run from primitives." 5 seconds, Captain Hunwoo said calmly. 2 of the remaining Stalker ships suddenly jumped away, disappearing in flashes of light. The other 2 hesitated for a moment too long. The iron crane hit them both with some kind of weapon that made space itself seem to bend. The Stalker ships crumpled like tin cans and went dark. In less than 10 minutes, 7 Stalker ships had been reduced to floating wreckage or empty space. The iron crane turned toward the Harmony's edge and approached slowly, its weapons powering. "Down! Research vessel Harmony's edge." Captain Hyunwoo's voice was gentle now. "This is Captain Hyunwoo. Are you hurt? Do you need help?" Commander Taemin stared at the iron crane as it moved closer to his disabled ship. The strange vessel looked even more unusual up close. Its hull was covered with patches and repairs, like it had been in many fights before. Weapon systems that didn't match each other stuck out from every surface. It was ugly and beautiful at the same time. "Captain," said Navigator Jisoo, her voice full of wonder, "I'm reading the weapons they used during the battle. Some of them are energy-based, some fire solid projectiles, and some use gravity fields. It's like they took technology from a dozen different species and made it all work together." Dr. Minho's crystal body was still flashing with excitement. "The way they fought, they used tactics I've never seen before, ramming attacks, precision, explosives, energy redirection. They broke every rule of space combat. And they won," Taemin said quietly. He had been a ship commander for 20 years, and he had never seen anything like what just happened. The Stalker ships were some of the most feared vessels in the galaxy. They had destroyed entire fleets, but this one strange ship had made them look like children playing with toys. The communication system crackled to life again. "Harmony's Edge, this is Captain Hyunwoo. I'm reading damage to your engines and power systems. Would you like us to come aboard and help with repairs?" Taemin looked around at his crew. They were all staring at him, waiting for his decision. These strangers had just saved their lives, but they were complete unknowns. What species were they? Where did they come from? Why were they so good at fighting? "Captain Hyunwoo," Taemin said carefully, "we are grateful for your help, but we must ask, what species are you? Our databases have no record of ships like yours." There was a pause. Then Captain Hyunwoo laughed, a sound that was warm and friendly. "We're humans, Commander. I know you probably haven't heard of us. We tend to keep to ourselves." "Humans," Taemin repeated. The word meant nothing to him. Jisoo was already checking their cultural databases, but she shook her head. "No records at all." "We're from a small world near the edge of your galaxy," Captain Hyunwoo continued. "We've been exploring space for a while now, but we usually avoid making contact with other species. Today was special." "Why did you help us?" asked Taemin. "Because you needed help. And we don't like bullies," the human said simply. "The Stalkers have been causing trouble in this area for years. We've been watching them, learning how they fight. Today seemed like a good day to test what we learned." Dr. Minho moved closer to Taemin. "Captain, our life support is failing. We need their help." Taemin made his decision. "Captain Hyunwoo, we accept your offer of assistance. You may come aboard." 20 minutes later, the airlocks connected and Captain Hyunwoo stepped onto the bridge of the Harmony's Edge. Taemin got his first look at a human. They were smaller than he expected. Captain Hyunwoo was about the same height as a Zephyrian, but built differently. Where Taemin's people were thin and graceful, humans seemed solid and sturdy. The captain had dark hair and eyes, and skin that was brown like tree bark. He wore a simple uniform that looked practical rather than fancy. Behind him came 3 more humans. There was Chief Engineer Soo-young, a female with quick, clever eyes. Tactical Officer Dong-yun looked like a soldier, with scars on his hands and a careful way of watching everything. The youngest was Communications Specialist Naeun, who seemed excited to meet aliens. "Wow," Naeun said, looking around the bridge. "Your ship is amazing. The design is so elegant compared to our clunky old freighter." Soo-young was already looking at the damaged control panels. "The power coupling is fried, and your main engine has a plasma leak. We can fix this, but it'll Take a few hours. Dr. Minho approached the humans carefully. As a healer, he was curious about their biology. Captain Hyunwoo, would you mind if I performed some basic medical scans? I want to make sure our ship's atmosphere is safe for your people. Sure, Doc, Hyunwoo said with a smile. We're pretty tough, but better safe than sorry. As Minho worked, Taemin found himself studying these strange beings. They moved with confidence, like they belonged anywhere they went. They spoke to each other in their own language sometimes, words that sounded musical but strong. Captain, Taemin said, forgive my curiosity, but how did you defeat the Stalkers so easily? They are considered some of the most dangerous fighters in the galaxy. Dong-yun laughed. Dangerous to people who fight fair, maybe. We don't fight fair. What do you mean? Asked Jisoo. Soo-young looked up from the engine controls. Most species develop one way of doing things and stick with it forever. The Zephyrians are great at long-range precision fighting. The Screed are amazing at defensive tactics. The crystalline healers are perfect at support roles. But you're all limited by your own thinking, Nayeon added. Humans. We steal ideas from everyone. We take the best parts of every fighting style and mix them together. Captain Hyunwoo nodded. We've been watching the galaxy for about 200 years. Every time we see a new species, we study how they do things. We learn from their victories and their mistakes. 200 years. Taemin was shocked. But there are no records of human contact with any galactic civilization. That's because we didn't want there to be records, Hyunwoo said. We stay hidden. We watch. We learn. This is the first time we've revealed ourselves to anyone. Doctor, Minho finished his scans and looked puzzled. Your biology is interesting. You're not specialized for any particular environment. Most species evolve to be perfect for one type of world, but humans seem designed to survive anywhere. We adapt, said Soo-young. It's what we do best. As the humans worked to repair the Harmony's edge, they shared stories about their hidden exploration of the galaxy. They had watched wars and peace treaties. They had seen the rise and fall of civilizations. They had studied every species they could find, always staying in the shadows. Why reveal yourselves now? Asked Taemin. Captain Hyunwoo was quiet for a moment. Because we've seen enough. The galaxy has too many bullies like the Stalkers. Too many peaceful people getting hurt by those with bigger weapons. We decided it was time to stop watching and start helping. Just the four of you? Asked Jisoo. Nayeon grinned. Oh, there are a lot more of us than you might think. Humans have been spreading across the galaxy for generations. We have colonies and outposts you've never heard of. Most of us are still happy to stay hidden, but some of us think it's time for a change. The repairs were almost finished when Captain Hyunwoo received a message on his personal communicator. He listened for a moment, then nodded. Commander Taemin, he said, we need to go soon, but before we leave, I want to give you something. He handed Taemin a small device. This is a human communication beacon. If you ever need help again, activate it. We'll hear you. Will we see you again? Asked Taemin. Hyunwoo smiled. That depends on you and your people. We're tired of hiding, but we're not ready to trust everyone yet. If the peaceful species of the galaxy want to work with us, we'll consider it. The human team finished their work and prepared to leave. The Harmony's Edge now had full power and working engines. Thank you, Taemin said as they stood at the airlock. You saved our lives. Today, said Captain Hyunwoo, but tomorrow you might save someone else's. That's how it should work. As the iron crane pulled away, Taemin watched it go with mixed feelings. These humans had proven that the galaxy's most feared predators could be defeated. They had shown that cooperation and adaptation could beat specialized superiority. But they had also raised new questions. How many humans were really out there? What did they want? And what would happen when the rest of the galaxy learned that Earth's children had been watching them all along? 3 days later, The Harmony's Edge docked at Kepler Station, the largest research facility in this part of the galaxy. Commander Taman had spent the entire trip thinking about what to tell the Galactic Council. How do you explain that a completely unknown species just destroyed 7 Stalker ships like they were training targets? Dr. Minho walked beside him as they made their way to the council chambers. The crystal being's body was flashing with nervous energy. "Are you sure we should tell them everything, Captain? The humans specifically asked us to be careful about who we trust." "We have to report this," Taman said, though he had doubts too. "The Council needs to know that the Stalkers can be defeated. But you're right to be worried. Some Council members might see the humans as a threat instead of potential allies." Navigator Jisoo caught up with them, her feathers ruffled with anxiety. "Captain, I've been analyzing the data from the battle. The more I study it, the more amazing it becomes. The humans used at least 12 different combat techniques that I can identify, and some that I can't even understand." The council chamber was a huge dome where representatives from 43 different species gathered to make decisions for the peaceful worlds. Today, the session was called to hear Taman's report about the attack by Stalker ships. As Taman stood before the assembled delegates, he felt the weight of history on his shoulders. What he said today might change everything. "Honored council members," he began. 3 days ago, my research vessel was attacked by 7 Stalker ships of the Void Hunter Collective. We were saved by the intervention of an unknown species that calls themselves humans." A ripple of surprise went through the chamber. Counselor Hajun, a tall being made of living metal, leaned forward. "Commander Taman, there are no records of any species called humans in our databases." "That's because they have been hiding from us," Taman replied. He activated his ship's sensor recordings, and the battle played out on the chamber's main screen. The council watched in stunned silence as the iron crane tore through the Stalker ships. Gasps echoed through the dome when the human vessel rammed straight through one enemy ship and came out the other side still fighting. When the recording ended, the chamber erupted in excited voices. Dozens of species all talking at once, trying to understand what they had just seen. Counselor Minji, who represented the peaceful trading worlds, called for order. "Commander Taman, you say these humans have been hiding from us. For how long?" "According to Captain Hyunwoo, about 200 years. They have been watching us, learning from us, but staying hidden until now." "Why reveal themselves?" asked Counselor Seojin from the Military Defense Committee. "Because they're tired of watching peaceful species get bullied by predators like the Stalkers," Taman answered. The debate that followed was intense. Some council members were excited about the possibility of new allies. Others were worried about a species that had been spying on them for centuries. A few were frightened by how easily the humans had destroyed ships that the galaxy's military couldn't touch. "These humans could be a threat to all of us," warned Counselor Hanul, whose people had bad experiences with aggressive neighbors. "They have weapons we don't understand and fighting skills that make our best military look weak." "Or they could be our salvation," argued Counselor Yejin. "The Stalkers have terrorized our trade routes for generations. If the humans can stop them, we should welcome their help." Dr. Minho stepped forward when Taman nodded to him. "Honorable Council, I performed medical scans on the humans. Their biology is unlike anything we've seen. They're not specialized for any particular environment, but they seem capable of adapting to almost anything." "What does that mean?" asked Counselor Hajun. "Most species evolve to be perfect for one type of world," Minho explained. "We crystalline healers need high-energy environments. The Zephyrians require low gravity. The Screet must have specific atmospheric conditions, but humans seem designed to survive anywhere." Jisoo spoke up next. "Their technology is the same way. They don't have one advanced system like most species. Instead, they take pieces from everyone and make them work together. It should be impossible, but somehow they make it function." The discussion continued for hours. Some council members wanted to send a military fleet to find these humans immediately. Others suggested trying to make peaceful contact. A few worried that the humans might be planning to conquer the galaxy themselves. Finally, Councillor Minji called for a vote. We must decide how to respond to this discovery. I propose that we send a diplomatic mission to establish peaceful contact with the humans. The vote was close, but the diplomats won. The council would try to make friends with these mysterious humans rather than treating them as enemies. But as the session ended, Taman heard troubling conversations in the hallways. Not everyone was happy with the decision. Some species were already talking about forming their own military response to the human threat. That night, in his quarters, aboard the station, Taman activated the communication device Captain Hyunwoo had given him. He wasn't sure if it would work across such a long distance, but he had to try. To his surprise, Captain Hyunwoo's voice came through clearly. Commander Taman, good to hear from you. How did your report go? Mixed results, Taman said honestly. The council voted to send a diplomatic mission, but some species are scared of you. They're talking about military action. There was a pause. Then Hyunwoo laughed, but it didn't sound happy. We expected that. Fear is usually the first reaction when people meet something new. Captain, can I ask you something personal? Sure. Why did you really save us? And please don't just say you don't like bullies, there has to be more to it. Another pause. You're right, there is more. Commander, we've been watching your species for 40 years. The Zephyrians are some of the most honorable people in the galaxy. You explore for knowledge, not conquest. You share your discoveries instead of hoarding them. When we decided it was time to reveal ourselves, we knew you would be the right people to make first contact with. Taman felt honored and worried at the same time. What happens now? Now we wait and see if the galaxy is ready for us. Some of my people think we should stay hidden forever. Others want to come out fighting and take over everything. I'm hoping for something in the middle. How many of you are there, really? Taman asked. More than you think, fewer than you fear, Hyunwoo said cryptically. Let's just say that if we wanted to cause trouble, we already would have. The council is sending Ambassador Seo-hyun to make formal contact. Will you meet with her? We'll consider it. But Commander, I need you to understand something. We've seen what happens when advanced species meet primitive ones. Usually the primitive ones get conquered or destroyed. We don't want that to happen to anyone, including us. What do you mean? We're not as advanced as we might seem. We're just very good at using what we learn from others. But some of your people have technologies we can't match. If this goes wrong, it could be bad for everyone. After the communication ended, Taman sat in his quarters thinking about the future. The galaxy was about to change in ways no one could predict. The humans were like a new ingredient being added to a recipe that had been cooking for thousands of years. It might make everything better, or it might ruin the whole dish. One thing was certain. The age of hiding was ending for humanity. Whether that was good or bad would depend on how wisely both sides handled what came next. Outside his window, Taman could see ships from dozens of different species docked at the station. Tomorrow, news of the humans would spread to all their home worlds. By next week, every civilized planet in the galaxy would know that Earth's children had been watching them all along. The question was, what would everyone do about it? 2 weeks after the battle with the Stalker ships, the galaxy was buzzing with news about the mysterious humans. Every news broadcast, every diplomatic channel, every trade route carried stories about the species that had been hiding in plain sight for 2 centuries. Commander Taman stood on the observation deck of the diplomatic vessel Peaceful Dawn, watching as they approached the coordinates Captain Hyunwoo had provided for the meeting. Ambassador Seo-hyun, a graceful Altarian with silver skin and wise eyes, stood beside him. Are you nervous, Commander? She asked. Yes, Taman admitted. This could be the most important day in galactic history, or it could be the beginning of a war. The past 2 weeks had been chaotic. Some species were excited about meeting the humans and learning from their adaptive technology. Others were terrified and had started building up their military forces. The Void Hunter Collective had recalled all their raiding fleets to defensive positions, clearly worried about more human attacks. "Contact on sensors," announced Navigator Jisoo from the bridge. "It's the Iron Crane." But as they got closer, Taman saw they weren't meeting just one ship. 3 human vessels waited at the rendezvous point. Besides the familiar Iron Crane, there was a sleek ship that looked like a cross between a scout vessel and a warship, and a larger vessel that seemed designed for long-range exploration. "This is Captain Hyunwoo," came the familiar voice over the communication system. "Welcome to the meeting, Ambassador Seo-hyun. We're honored by your visit." "Thank you for agreeing to this contact, Captain," Ambassador Seo-hyun replied. "We hope this is the beginning of a long friendship between our peoples." "We hope so, too. Would you like to come aboard our exploration ship? It's more comfortable for diplomatic meetings than my old freighter." An hour later, Taman found himself in a conference room that was both familiar and strange. The furniture was designed for beings roughly the same size as most galactic species, but the materials and construction were uniquely human. Everything looked practical and sturdy, built to last rather than to impress. Captain Hyunwoo was there, along with 3 other humans Taman hadn't met before. There was Admiral Kyungjae, a stern-looking man with gray hair who seemed to be a military leader. Dr. Jihoon was a medical officer with kind eyes and gentle hands. And there was Yeji, a young woman who looked at the aliens with undisguised fascination. "Before we begin formal negotiations," said Ambassador Seo-hyun, "we must ask some basic questions. How many human worlds are there? What is your population? What are your intentions regarding the galactic community?" Admiral Kyungjae answered first. "We have 47 colony worlds and over 300 outposts or research stations. Our total population is about 8 billion people." The ambassador's silver skin flickered with surprise. That was a substantial population, spread across a huge area of space. "As for our intentions," Captain Hyunwoo continued, "we want to stop hiding, but we also want to be careful. We've seen what happens when species meet for the first time. Usually someone gets conquered or destroyed. We don't want that to happen to anyone." Dr. Jihoon leaned forward. "We've been studying galactic civilization for 2 centuries. We've seen your wars, your peace treaties, your technological advances. We've learned from all of you. Now we think it's time to give something back." "What can you offer us?" asked Ambassador Seo-hyun. Young Yeji spoke up eagerly. "We're really good at making different technologies work together. Most species develop one type of science and stick with it forever. But we take ideas from everyone and combine them in new ways. We've also learned things about the galaxy's predator species that might surprise you," added Admiral Kyungjae. "The Stalkers, the Shadow Syndicate, the Void Reapers. We've been watching them all. We know their weaknesses." Taman asked the question that had been bothering him for weeks. "Why now? You could have stayed hidden forever. Why reveal yourselves?" Captain Hyunwoo was quiet for a moment. "Because hiding is getting harder. Our population is growing. We need more resources, more space, and frankly, we're tired of watching good people get hurt by bullies." "There's another reason," Dr. Jihoon added softly. "We've been alone for so long. Yes, we have each other, but we've never had friends among the stars. We want to be part of something bigger than just humanity." The negotiations continued for hours. The humans offered to share some of their adaptive technologies and their knowledge about galactic predators. In return, they wanted formal recognition as a sovereign species and the right to establish open trade relationships. But as the talks progressed, Taman noticed that Admiral Kyungjae kept checking a small device on his wrist. Finally, the human military leader stood up. "I apologize for the interruption," he said, "but we're receiving reports from our scouts. It seems our little demonstration with the Stalkers has had some unexpected consequences." "What kind of consequences?" asked Ambassador Seo-hyun. Yeji activated a holographic display that showed a map of the local galactic region. Red dots marked various locations, and they were all moving. "The predator species are mobilizing," Admiral Kyung-jae explained. "The Stalkers have joined with the Shadow Syndicate and the Void Reapers. They're forming what they call the Dominance Alliance. Their goal is to destroy humanity before we can help their victims fight back." Ambassador Seo-hyun's silver skin turned pale. "How many ships are we talking about?" "Over 3,000, Captain Hyunwoo said grimly. "The largest predator fleet in galactic history." Taemin felt his heart sink. "Can you stop them?" "Alone." "No," admitted Admiral Kyung-jae. "We're good fighters, but we're not miracle workers. Against odds like that, we'd have to retreat to our hidden worlds and hope they don't find us. But we're not alone anymore, are we?" said Dr. Ji-hoon, looking at the ambassador. "That's what this meeting is really about. Not just formal recognition, but alliance, partnership, the peaceful species working together with humanity to stop the predators once and for all." Ambassador Seo-hyun stood up, her decision clear on her face. "I don't have the authority to make military alliances, but I can make recommendations to the Council, and I recommend that we stand with humanity against this threat." "It won't be easy," warned Captain Hyunwoo. "The predators have better individual ships than most of your people. We can even the odds with our tactics and combined technologies, but it will still be dangerous." "Freedom is always dangerous," Taemin said, "but slavery is worse." Over the next several hours, they worked out the basics of a mutual defense agreement. The peaceful species would provide ships and personnel. Humanity would provide tactical expertise and adaptive technology. Together, they would face the Dominance Alliance. As the meeting ended, Yeji approached Taemin privately. "Commander, can I ask you something?" "Of course. Are you scared?" "About the battle that's coming?" Taemin considered the question. "Yes, I'm scared, but I'm also hopeful. For the first time in centuries, the bullies might actually lose." "We've been preparing for this day for 200 years, Yeji said. "Watching, learning, getting ready. We always knew that eventually we'd have to stop hiding and start fighting. I just hope we're ready." "You destroyed 7 Stalker ships with 1 vessel," Taemin reminded her. "I think you're ready." As the diplomatic ships prepared to part ways, Captain Hyunwoo sent one final message to the peaceful dawn. "Commander Taemin, Ambassador Seo-hyun, thank you for trusting us. In 3 days, human ships will begin arriving at the coordinates we discussed. We'll bring everything we have: technology, tactics, and 2 centuries of knowledge about our enemies. And we'll bring the combined fleets of 43 peaceful species," Ambassador Seo-hyun replied. "Together, we'll show the predators that their time is over." As Taemin watched the human ships disappear into hyperspace, he thought about how much had changed since that desperate day when the Stalkers had surrounded his research vessel. The galaxy was about to witness the largest battle in its history. Thousands of ships, dozens of species, and the fate of galactic civilization hanging in the balance. But for the first time in his life, Taemin believed the good guys might actually win. Behind him, Ambassador Seo-hyun was already composing her report to the Galactic Council. By tomorrow, every peaceful world would know that humanity had offered them a choice: stand together against the predators or face them alone. The age of hiding was over. The age of alliance was about to begin. And somewhere in the darkness between the stars, Captain Hyunwoo was sending coded messages to human ships scattered across the galaxy. The message was simple but carried the weight of destiny. Phase 2 begins now. All ships converge on the Nexus. It's time to show the galaxy what humans can do when we stop pretending to be weak. The response came back from hundreds of vessels, each one carrying the hopes and dreams of people who had spent their entire lives in the shadows. "We're coming home, Admiral. Time to light up the darkness," The galaxy would never be the same.